Tommy Carmichael, the man who scammed thousands out of casino slot machines with a light wand. And today, we'll find out exactly how he managed to do it. Humble beginnings. Tommy Carmichael was born on the 5th of July, 1950 and grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He began his career as a TV repairman in the 1980s and was one of his area's earliest repairmen, bringing him significant recognition. His sales business, known as Ace TV Sales and Service, was rather successful back in the day because of his exceptional skills with electronics. But over time, the competition became too much and business began to fail. He knew it could spell the ending for his business and he was struggling to put food on the table for him and his wife. They were behind on bills, and he had frequent run-ins with the law for convictions on drug possession. He was even still fulfilling community service while worrying about the poor income from his business, and things got so bad that his wife had left him, and he felt that nothing was going to bring him out of his misery and pain. However, things were about to take a turn for Carmichael, and he would receive a visit from an old friend that would change his luck. The top and bottom joint. Ray Ming was an old friend of Tommy who showed up at his repair shop with a fancy new car that he had just got. Life appeared to be treating Ray well, and he started opening up about how he was able to cheat casinos using a small and simple device, and how his ingenuity had helped him to buy a brand new car and a well-furnished apartment. He revealed the secret to his fortune was in this new device he had created to cheat the slot machines in casinos. Tommy gained a basic understanding of how slot machines worked, having tried to cheat one himself when he was younger, but this brand new device was a kind of master key which allowed you to trigger a jackpot each time that you played. Best of all, nobody knew what the device was, not even the police, so he could get away with using it each and every time. Tommy's eyes began to tear up at the possibilities and he was completely sold on the product, but there was a small matter of a $4,000 fee that Ray was selling the device for. Tommy wasn't sure how it actually worked, and if it was so great, why was Ray selling it to people instead of using it to make money for himself? To answer these questions, Tommy decided to fly them both to Vegas for a trial. When they got to the casino, Ray fixed up the device and literally withdrew $75 like the slot machine was an ATM. Tommy was fascinated with the progress they made. He could easily milk the casinos out of thousands of dollars on a daily basis, which would be enough to start a brand new life. But how was the slot machine triggered to make it rain? The concept was simple: a piece of metal positioned strategically at the side of the machine, while another device was positioned in the coin slot. This mechanism deceived the machine into triggering a jackpot each and every time. Tommy was convinced of the efficacy of the top and bottom joint and gladly purchased one and got immediately to work. He took as much money as he could from as many slot machines and as many casinos as possible before returning to Tulsa to enjoy the proceeds and prepare for his next trip. He had so much expectations for his next visit, looking to enrich himself and buy up properties, but by the time he had come back to Vegas, roughly a year later, everything had changed. The casinos replaced their slot machines with advanced versions that carried a device that could detect and stop foul play. And here's how it worked. If anyone was to use a device like the top and bottom joint, the fuse in the machine would blow, causing it to go out of operation immediately. That way, nobody could get any money out of the machine. There were only a small number of the old versions of slot machines remaining, and these older versions were far away and mostly at smaller casinos. Tommy drove out one night searching for a casino that still used the old versions of the slot machine and eventually found a place called Denny's at around 3 a.m. in the morning. He was fiddling with the machine when 3 officers walked in and caught him in the act. The police would search him, finding $35 in quarters as well as the top and bottom devices. Ray had told Tommy that the police didn't know what the device was, but the problem was that Ray had sold copies of the device to numerous people who were also using it in different casinos. Ray bought his own version from someone else, and the truth was, the casinos had known about the device for around 20 years. Tommy would be in big trouble and arrested by the Vegas Police Department. He was then tried in court and slapped with 5 years in the state prison for fraudulent activities against the casino. While in prison, Tommy had enough time to reflect on his own wrong deeds and the mistakes that he had made in life, and with the help of Michael Balsamo, a brand new friend he had made in the prison, he decided to do things differently. This time, he would devise better methods of cashing out on slot machines without getting caught. Balsamo was the perfect partner for the new project. He had spent many years scamming slot machines and spent some time in prison for various offenses. It was a match made in heaven, and the two slot cheaters began making plans to make their mark on Vegas when they got released. The Monkey Paw. Tommy was released from prison before his new partner, and once he got out, he began to carry out surveillance on casinos to see what had changed over the years. He soon realized that while he was in prison, the world had left him behind. Everything was computerized now, and the technology used in slot machines had greatly evolved. The old cheat devices were no longer going to work on the brand new machine. Tommy devised a way to hatch his plans, disguising himself as a casino owner and creating a business. This allowed him to legally order the brand new computerized slot machines from dealers, and he of course did not have the money to pay for them, so he wrote a bad check. When the new computerized machine arrived, he then understood why it was considered impossible to hack. He opened up the insides of the machine and found a button that, when pushed, would trigger the jackpot, but there was no way to reach the button from outside. He spent weeks racking his brain over the problem and eventually figured it out. That's when he created a prototype called the Monkey Paw. Tommy then teamed up with Balsamo, who was newly released from prison, and the duo perfected the use of the device. The only thing they needed was cover. The idea was to get two females that would stand as shades on both sides, blocking security from seeing them manipulating the slot machine. Tommy and Michael found ladies at a club and then recruited them for the scheme, and the team then went from one casino to the next, filling up their pockets with cash, and the Monkey Paw worked even better than expected. They made over $1,000 in a single hour, and in a short time had begun to live their dreams, partying all day, buying expensive luxury items, and splurging on shopping and traveling first class. This would continue for many years, but one thing that you can count on is that casinos will always find a way to protect their investments, no matter what the expense. By the 1990s, they began creating rigid security measures, cameras everywhere, more security guards on duty, and within a year, many of the casinos in Vegas had upgraded to the Fort Knox of all slot machines. It was almost certain that nobody would ever be able to cheat these new versions of the machines, or could they? The Light Wand. The Monkey Paw had become obsolete and turned into basically a useless fishing rod since the new slot machines were exceptionally complex. That's when Balsamo decided to give up the gig and move on with his life, leaving Tommy to obsess over the machine. He was able to get his hands on the latest model, and the new version had come with an optical light sensor that made everything electrical rather than mechanical. Tommy needed a way to trick that light sensor, but how would he do it? As usual, he acted as a casino owner, getting one of the slot machine's manufacturers to open up the machine and show him how it worked. This would give him access to the inner workings of the machine, and in no time he had created something called the Light Wand. It was effective for any slot machine designed with a light sensor. The only thing he needed now was someone to act as a shade, so he recruited a 25-year-old exotic dancer by the name of Lisa Luxem, promising 20% of the game. The Light Wand turned out to be a major hit, and they both made a ton of money. They engaged in such a lavish lifestyle, spending so much time together, that they even began dating. Tommy wasn't only using the Light Wand for himself, he was also selling prototypes to cheats for an exorbitant price. But little did he know that this mistake would place him on the police radar once again. To catch the Wand Master. Tommy Carmichael had a close call at the MGM Grand that year. He was using the light wand and fidgeting so much that police sensed something wasn't quite right, not to mention he was winning way too much money for comfort. The Nevada agents were hot on his tail, so he had to skip town, knowing that his days of cheating the casinos were numbered because he was getting sloppy and noticeable. He decided to get a new identity hiding out at a remote place, producing prototypes of the light wand, and selling them to others who needed luck on the slots. It became a much safer bargain than getting caught using the device on one of the slot machines. He would make each of the light wands for $3 and sell them off $30,000. It was worth the price at the time because you could make thousands of dollars in a single day. In 1992, a police officer of the New Jersey Casino Enforcement tracked another cheat to Las Vegas, where they were finally apprehended and the light wand was discovered in their possession. The cheat knew he was going to be put behind bars for a long time, so he cut a deal with the agent, providing the mastermind in charge of producing the device, all in exchange for his freedom. The name would be revealed as Tommy Carmichael, and even though others were making counterfeits of the light wand and selling them to people as well, the person who was blamed for every crime would be Tommy. While the search was on for Tommy, many people who were using the wands were getting caught, and some even forgot their wands in the casino or the machine itself. And so, the casino quickly picked up on the trick and tweaked the slot machines to include delays that made the light wand ineffective. However, Tommy had a solution for that feature, including a switch on the light wand which the user could turn off during the delay, and that was all it took. The cash kept rolling in, and people kept buying the wand with the switch, and the new wand was called the Gen 2. It sold for a whopping $40,000. When things started going well again, Balsamo entered back into the picture. He found Tommy and bought a prototype, but things would go downhill pretty fast. Balsamo was at a casino trying to use his light wand and unfortunately got caught while being reckless. And once authorities found the brand new device, that's when things took a turn. Balsamo was handed over to the FBI, who made him an offer, promising to let him go if he gave up Tommy Carmichael, the maker of the device. He then turned on his old partner and gave all of Tommy's information, including his phone number, address, and everything to identify him. The FBI then began tracking Tommy, following him around, tapping his phone, and basically looking for a confession or any kind of incriminating evidence. And what they found out would be more than they had bargained for. The tongue. While the FBI listened in on Tommy's phone calls, they were shocked at the information he was spilling out over the phone. Casinos had changed their slot machines once again, and this time they rolled out tickets instead of coins, and you had to take those to the cashier to get your money. To play the new slots, you had to buy tickets in the first place, so it was basically the ticket in, ticket out system. Tommy had been working on a device called the tongue. It was a complex computer chip that was inserted into the coin slot, and it would trick the slot machine into thinking the user had put in hundreds of thousands of coins or tickets. What made the system so dangerous was that you could put in fake credits into the machine and cash out real money like it was getting back all the money you had allegedly put in, but without the jackpot lights and sounds going off. The crazy device was going to bankrupt the casinos, and the best part is security would be completely unaware since no sound or ruckus was made. This was by far Tommy's greatest achievement. He could easily make millions in a week and retire, but had made one simple mistake. He started to sell the new invention to new buyers for $100,000 each, making $1.2 million in the process. Someone must have leaked the information on the new device or the whereabouts, because when he landed in Vegas to begin his final takedown of the casinos, the FBI was waiting at the airport to grab him. Life in the aftermath. Tommy was a smart guy. He had created devices that cost the casinos around $45 million in damage and knew that he would certainly rot in prison if he didn't do something to alleviate his sentence. And so, he cut a deal with the casinos themselves. He had given them all of his knowledge about every device he ever made, and some on how casinos could beat the cheaters like him, and for that, he would be sentenced to just 11 months in prison. He was added to the Nevada Black Book, which meant that he would never be able to enter any casino ever again, and it was a felony to even be found on the premises of one. There was no way to reverse it, of course, and when Tommy was finally released from prison, he had lost everything he owned, including his girlfriend. That's when he went back to Tulsa and spent his time inventing an unbeatable device for the slot machines that could stop cheaters in their tracks. He then sold the patent to the slot machine manufacturers and continued on living a quiet life. What did you think about the life of Tommy Carmichael and how he cheated the casinos? Be sure to let me know all about it in the comments down below. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.